Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this one, we are going to work on the third task in Lab 03A, where we are working on managing Azure resources by using the Azure portal. And let's go to the task, implement and test resource logs. So that's down here. And what we're going to do in this task, we're going to look at the raw logs and how it works. So we're going to apply the resource log to an Azure resource group containing the disk that we have created in the previous lab. Okay, just watch the previous video. So in this one, what we're going to do, we're going to look for disk. Okay, so let's do some stuff. So let's look for some disk, and here's my disk. And always choose the regular disk one. Do not go for the classic one unless you have a very specific reason to. So go to the disk and let's do a create, and this time we're going to create the resource group, a new resource group. We're going to create, say create, and then use AZ, and if there's white space at the beginning it's going to complain, so remove that. And then we're going to name the resource as disk name is this, east-us2 is good, availability none, and source type none. And again over here we just need a standard HDD and 32 gigs. So over here it will change the size, go down, click the standard HDD, get the 32 gigs and hit OK, and that should take care of the problem. And over here let's just create this particular resource, which is a disk resource under this particular resource group. Okay, so and it really doesn't take very long. It will be created within maybe 2 minutes or even less, maybe say 30 seconds. So let's watch. Let's count. One. Well, you see, it's already done. So go to the resource. So now we are in the resource. Okay, so what you see on this resource group blade, click on logs and then add. So over here, what you're seeing over here down there, these are all called the blades. Each, as I move the mouse, so here overview blade, activity blade, access control, IAM blade. So if you come down, logs is under the settings. Okay, if you click on that one, you see there is no logs that are currently available. Okay, so what we are going to do right now, we're going to click on add, and it's going to ask you, hey, what's the log name? So here's the log name that we're going to use. So let's just put it in here. And if you look over here, there are two different kind of logs. One is the read-only log, another a delete log. Now, believe me or not, your read-only log is actually more restrictive. Okay, read-only log means you cannot delete, you cannot add, you cannot do anything. You can do nothing. With the delete log, you can actually add stuff to it, but cannot delete. So it's not as restrictive as a read log. Okay, remember that one. So for this lab, we're going to use the delete log. So you will not be delete anything for this particular uh, resource. So actually, you know what? We are gonna add the log to the resource group and not to the resource. So we are still in the you see this is the disk. You can have log on a resource level, but just to make our life a little bit easier, let's just go down to the resource group. Okay, this is the resource group, and the same thing, go down to the logs and add the log at the resource group. So let's just put it in here and change this to delete log, and we got everything looks like, and hit OK. Okay, so now what we have just done, we have added a log to the resource group level. Okay, now on the resource group blade, click on overview. Okay, let me make sure that we are still doing the right thing. Okay, so we did that. So this log we added to the resource group. Okay, that's fine. So go down to the click on the overview, uh, a blade, and in the list of resource group resources, select the entry representing the disk you created. So this is now I have created, and let's try to delete this one and see what happens. So for here, let's click on this one. So if you're using a smaller window like me, you will have to click on the ellipsis. If you're using a bigger window, that might show up in this big list. Okay, right over here where you say a delete resource group and then delete. Okay, that will show up just like that. You can delete it from there. Since I'm using a smaller window, it's just kind of hidden in here. I'm just going to click on delete, and it's asking, hey, do you want to delete the selected resource? Now if I say yes, and if I didn't have any resource lock, I should be able to delete. Now see what happens. So click on delete. Okay, so we are just performing step 8, and it say you should see an error message saying that, hey, you cannot delete this. So let's see what happens. So it's trying to execute the delete, and it says succeeded 0, failed 0 right now. So it's still the operation is going on. So let's see what happens. Give us a minute, and we should be able to see whether the delete is successful or not. And while this is, well, I'm just gonna stay here and hope for the best and make sure. And I hope that I have added all the locks properly. So let's give it few more seconds and let's watch. Actually, if it takes too long, so usually it just uh, tells you no, you cannot do that very quickly. For whatever reason, it's taking a little bit of time. It's not detecting, hey, there's a lock. That's why it's making me a little bit nervous. But usually, in my experience, whenever you have the lock available, it will immediately tell you, hey, you got a lock, buddy. You cannot just delete that resource. So let's just give it a second and be back. Look at that. It said executed delete command on this item, but what happens? Succeeded 0, failed 1. So it tried, but it was not successful. Okay, because of the lock. And if you read this error message right here, expand that. It says the scope of this compute this cannot perform delete operation because following scopes are locked. Please remove the lock and try again. So what you have to do, you have to go back and remove the lock before you can actually delete this particular resource. Okay, so come back over here. Now if you want to go through the cleanup, what you need to do, you really need to now get rid of the lock. So let's show you how to do that. So just come back over here and it's very easy. Click on delete. So now that lock is gone. So in this term, I'm just going to go back to the home, go to resource group. And in this lab, we have created 3 resource groups. I'm going to select all of them. And let's see if I have a delete option together. It does not, I don't have it. So let's just open a one and just say delete resource group. And here I have to type the resource group name. Let's just copy this one. And once you copy this one, control C, paste that one, hit delete. So that deletion has started. Let's go to the next one, copy, and go to the delete resource group. It's always a good practice to delete the resources you are not using, so it's not, charging your account with unnecessary cost that you don't really need. Okay, so just having a resource group would not cost you anything, but it's just a practice. Like the resource in the resource group will cost you some money. All right, so I am going to delete all of them, and that will take care of the cleanup. So that's the end of this lab. So let's meet with you in the next video where we're gonna do similar kind of operations but using the ARM template. Okay, thank you for watching the video. See you in the next one.